Good evening, freelancers. Welcome to another Anthem video. I'm PTT, and today we're going to be looking at the Storm Javelin and giving you my thoughts and impressions on it after many hours of playing it through the demo. Now, obviously this video is based on limited time in game, but after about 20 hours of playtime, I have to say that I'm totally in love, and so far I have to say that the Storm is not only my personal favourite, but could quite possibly take the top spot for best Javelin in game. Now, I will of course try to be as impartial as I can in this video and set aside my personal love for the Storm and try to base everything I say on actual in-game testing and play the relevant footage in the background. And of course, once the final release version of the game comes out, I may have to redact my statements if one of the other Javelins does prove to be better, but for now, let's go off what we know and jump straight into it. So let's start with the basics then. The Storm Javelin is the Javelin that has harnessed the elements of the Anthem and brings to the fight many various abilities, all controlling a different element. From ice to lightning and even fire, the Storm is the only Javelin that can harness so much raw power and put it out in many different ways. Now, next to the Interceptor, the Storm is the second most agile suit in game and can not only hover for prolonged amounts of time, but can also blink around the map with its short-range teleportation ability. This, I should add, is a real game changer when tied with other abilities and coordinated team play. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Storm is the second most agile suit in game, and that in fact is true. What I didn't mention was that the Storm, while having very low defense, also has the longest hover time of the four suits, and while in hover mode, takes reduced damage. Now, this somewhat makes up for the low defense, especially when tied in with armor components and the wind wall ability. Basically, if played correctly, guys, the Storm can pretty much hover indefinitely, and with the right abilities and placement of said abilities, take an absolute pounding without actually taking any direct damage. Now, all of this tied in with the fact that the Storm also has the best area of effect attacks and has an ultimate ability that can be used in 3 separate locations, all adds up to the Storm, in my opinion, being an absolute monster and a class I think everybody should at least try out. Now, as I said earlier, I played the Storm pretty much for the entirety of the VIP demo, and I absolutely loved it. The ability to combo your own moves and put out serious damage is a playstyle I love, and while yes, prior to launch I did see myself as a Colossus, by God was I absolutely wrong. The Storm offers up pretty much everything you could want in terms of in-game skills. It has great area of effect abilities that can freeze enemy in their tracks. It can set fire to anything and everything in a certain radius, or it can rain down pure death from above in the terms of a Thor-themed lightning shower that pretty much obliterates anything within its radius. Basically, guys, the Storm is the suit that takes ad control to the next level. Now, I know some people may not be interested in a role that centres around ad control and instead wants to be the big DPS guy, and let me tell you that the Storm does that too. If I was to put a descriptive title on the Storm, I would definitely say that it fits the glass cannon title perfectly. See, the Storm has a 3-way elemental super ability that rains down a lightning, frost and fire area of effect, followed by a small meteor that is not only great at dealing out boss DPS, but can also be used for extremely quick ad control. Now, the really cool thing is that the Storm's ultimate ability can be used more than once, because as I said a moment ago, it has 3 different elemental attacks, and each one is fired separately to the one before. This not only means that it is what could be known as a roaming super, but also means it can be anywhere and everywhere at the same time. Now, if this is used correctly and in sync with other teammates' ultimates, then this can really cause some damage. Freezing enemies on one side of the map, setting fire to ones on the other side, and using the lightning strike on a third set is not just the cool move, but also allows for team combos to be used to maximum effect. See, when the Storm uses its ultimate ability, then other Javelins can also use theirs in a way to trigger 3 separate areas of devastating combos that simply level the playing field. Now, another thing I forgot to mention earlier was the fact that the Storm also has a kinesis shield surrounding it that not only protects it from effects, but also prevents the Storm from stumbling when hit. Now, having only played on the Storm class, I'm not entirely sure if any other classes have something similar, but I highly doubt that they do, as we do know that every Javelin has been designed to have its own unique abilities that make it stand aside from its counterparts. Now, I'm starting to feel my own bias slipping in a little bit here, so let's take a look at some of the downfalls of the Storm next then, just so I'm being as accurate as I can. So we did mention earlier that the Storm has extremely poor base defense, and well, that's no joke. Running through the Tyrant Stronghold on hard difficulty was definitely an eye-opener at just how vulnerable the Storm can be. It doesn't take a lot of direct damage before its shields are down, and its health pool can be very quickly diminished. But this is where learning the playstyle really becomes a key point, and setting up your component slots really matter. Now, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing for a review, but after about 20 hours playtime, the defensive capabilities of the Storm is pretty much the only downside that I personally encountered. Everything else was pretty much spot on, or in most cases, better than I expected. Now, I imagine that come endgame, the Storm will only get better and more powerful in most areas, but if I'm honest, and I am trying to be, I am slightly worried about the survivability aspect of the Storm on, say, the Grandmaster difficulties, because I wasn't joking when I said that direct damage hits incredibly hard, and we know for a fact that the Grandmaster difficulties are going to boost AI health and damage by a considerable whack. So, if at level 15 on hard, my Storm can get shredded in a matter of seconds when out of position, does this mean that harder endgame content will be very tough indeed, or will the raw damage output and area control of the Storm offset the survivability? I guess that's something we will have to wait and see, but I'm secretly keeping my fingers crossed that everything plays out the way I want it to, and the Storm does in fact remain top of the pecking order. Now, I think that is about everything I wanted to say about the Storm in this video. I will of course have more videos later down the line going into various builds of the Storm and how to set it up just right to maximise your damage output and consistently hit those combos. But for now, I'm going to leave you with this. We will all have our own personal preferences on what the best javelin is, and that very much comes down to things like personal playstyle. But there will always be one mathematical or statistical winner of best javelin, and right now, I strongly believe that that is the Storm. I would of course love to know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Let me as always thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Have a great day, and until the next one, I'll catch you all soon.